Welcome back to For the Love of Men podcast. My name is Courtney Shand, and I'm hosting with my dear friend, Brianna Mosier.
Hello.
The intention of this show is to bring together men and women to create healthy, polarized relationship dynamics by learning how to honor each other's natural, energetic core. I'm excited to talk about this today. Before we dive in, we're going to introduce ourselves, and we will get into the topic. Bree, tell my friends who you are, what you do.
Yes, I'm Bree. My work in the world is helping really high-achieving, driven, independent women identifying types to embrace their feminine energy, heal from past trauma and resentments, and open up to have healthier dynamics in their relationships in all areas, but especially with men romantically. Courtney?
Love that.
Your work in the world?
Yes, I have been working with men for the last couple months, and I love it, helping men who are really ready to create something that is both emotionally connective and deep, as well as that sexual chemistry piece, kind of healing from the nice guy energy and really stepping into that embodied masculine energy so that you can show up and create that polarity you're looking for.
So good.
Yeah, so fun.
Let's get into it.
Oh, speaking of polarity, this is something that will definitely impact polarity in a roundabout way. So we want to talk about the sister wound today. Do you want to explain what the sister wound is, kind of that concept?
Yeah, the sister wound is obviously applicable. We're talking about this in a sense of woman to woman for this episode, so this might not be the best one for our male listeners. This is really a girl conversation at the minute because it's a wound that we're responsible for healing between each other, which essentially makes it feel difficult to connect with other women for a multitude of reasons we're going to unpack, and then how that impacts not only your friendships, but your relationship with yourself and your relationship with people at large.
So exciting to talk about. Okay, not exciting, but you know. How would you say this has either shown up for you in your own life or your clients? Like, what are some of the telltale signs that this is active?
We were just talking about this. When a woman says, I just get along better with men, men are just easier. Girls are a lot of drama. Ugh, it's too hard to be friends with girls. It's always gossiping. It's always competition. It's too much. It overwhelms me. They'll say it's chaotic. It's catty. And like all of those things can be true for you in your felt experience. You know, there are groups of women and dynamics where it is cliquey and catty and petty, and there's this kind of like relational abuse, as it's called, right? Where people are undermining each other and triangulating. And it can be something that's present in female friendships. But just like with dating, there's a wounded paradigm, there's a disempowered paradigm, and there's an empowered paradigm. And a paradigm where you can connect with women and it's really supportive, wonderful, amazing, and there isn't that drama. So what we want to do is address kind of where this comes from and help you start shifting into healthier relationships with other women yourself. How has it shown up for you, your clients? What was it like?
Yeah. I would say for me, this is one that I absolutely had to heal on my own, is the idea that, you know, kind of like three's a crowd, especially among female friends, that there's going to be some betrayal. There's like a fear of being undermined or betrayed, or that if I have more than one friend, that will be like threatening to another woman. I see this play out in how we talk about other women, how it can reflect some of our own like insecurities and how we respond to other women who are getting what we would like to have, instead of just owning that this is something I would like to have too. And you're proof that it's possible. It is a like, why does she get to have it? It feels very like scarce in that way. That's how I've seen it show up both in my life and in my clients too, of just this kind of limitation of what's available in terms of feminine friendships and feminine energy, really, because it is ultimately a kind of the bigger conversation is this is your relationship to feminine energy. And when you don't trust it, when there's been betrayal, when there is a sense of needing to control it or manage it in any way, you're probably doing that inside too. This is just playing out externally for you to take a look at how you're treating yourself.
And it sort of is a defense mechanism to say, oh, it's just easier to be with men. Oh, it's just too hard to connect with them. And men are easier, men are more simple, they're more direct. And what Courtney's pointing out, and I love that you're saying this, is that's a reflection of your own relationship to your feminine energy and how much easier it is to be what we would call these masculine characteristics, right? Logical, grounded, sturdy, initiative taking, but not embracing that integrated feminine energy. I know we're going to get here at the end of the episode, but I would argue my feminine relationships, my sister relationships, my female friends, truly maybe the best part of my life.
Yeah.
It is so enriching, nourishing, supportive. It helps me to go to new heights in my career, in my romantic relationships, with my family, with my fitness, my health. I mean, there's not anything I wouldn't do for my girlfriends. So to not have that, it's like, you know, we were talking about, you have a brother and I have a sister, and my sister and I are very, very close. And you were saying, like, I wish I knew what it felt like to have that. And it made me think of, what if I didn't know what it felt like to have a sister?
Yeah.
You don't know how good it is. And I think the same concept applies in female friendship. If you've only ever had relationships with men, you have so much to look forward to finding community and connection with other women when you play in the empowered, healthy paradigm. I'm not encouraging the wounded feminine paradigm. When you shift paradigms and really relate with healthy women, nothing richer.
Ooh. I kind of feel like we need to give some context for the wounded feminine paradigm.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because the reason I think that we don't move into more female friendships is because we have either seen or experienced the wounded feminine paradigm as it plays out in feminine connections. And that will look like more codependent dynamics where I overly give myself because I expect that in return. And it's just kind of this like two, injured people kind of doing this three-legged race sort of move, not in a healthy, empowered, hey, I'm going to hold you while you heal kind of thing. In a, we're figuring this out, and really overly leaning on each other. And the reason that ends up putting us in this more wounded space is that you actually don't grow out of that without abandoning the other person. And you probably have this like deep sense of both obligation and fear of rejection, abandonment, betrayal, all these like deep fears that you haven't touched on or been with in a healthy way that are going to keep you like fused to other people. So you won't reach this like level that we're talking about as long as you're playing in this space.
So well said. I think when you were talking, it was inspiring me. Shocker. It was inspiring me because I was thinking about this unique experience I was unpacking with one of my girlfriends the other day, of when you know you're friends with a woman who actually secretly hates you but wants to be you.
Oh, yes, go there.
And it's a weird thing. We were both like, wait, are we giving words to the experience we've not been able to name together? When you have a friend who stays close to you, but you know she's not actually supporting you, but she wants to benefit from whatever it is she perceives that you have that she doesn't. So it's kind of like a keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer sort of thing. And it's because it's just girls here today.
Yeah.
It's a felt visceral thing. It's like a sense of your heart is just not in it with me from a pure place. There's some sort of like manipulation, or if I'm to be, it shows up like, if you guys are getting ready to go out together and you look really beautiful, she's threatened by that and feels like she needs to make herself more beautiful. Instead of saying, oh my God, radiant goddess queen, you look amazing. Like showering you with, whoa. And then the other person is like, oh my God, you're so glowy and amazing and wonderful. There's no competition. In the wounded paradigm, it's like internal conflict of what you were saying earlier, I want what this person has and I don't have it, and therefore I'm making them wrong for it, but I still want to be close to them because they have what I want. So will it rub off on me? It's kind of like threatening. Am I describing this?
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing is like your experience, your like feminine intuition is never picking up safe vibes.
Right.
Because you can sense on some level, and you probably have talked yourself out of trusting that experience because she's my friend. She should, I should be feeling safe with her. Therefore, I must be wrong. But the reality is your like antenna is going off for a reason, because she is kind of siphoning your energy and your upward momentum without actually like bringing that forward too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such an odd thing.
I'm glad you put words to that, because I don't think a lot of people have the like words to say this is it's weird. It just feels weird. It feels off. Something's not right? And intuitively, you don't want to be closer to someone that you feel unsafe with. And what if that's the red flag, is like, I don't feel safe?
And trusting that, we're not encouraging you to pursue that connection and call it sisterhood. That's more of a discernment issue of trusting your body and having good discernment around, is this someone I want in my closest cabinet of people? Another way I see it show up, and this usually happens when for me, it came up in my experience more in like high school, middle school era. And if we don't clear those things, they just continue into your adult relationships. But I think when I talk about this, it often triggers high school parts for my clients. When you do something very cool, wonderful, amazing, whether it's the clothes you wear or an accomplishment or a new way of thinking, believing, and your friend copies it without acknowledging you.
Ooh.
Did you ever have this experience?
Yes.
You get really into something, and then all of a sudden the woman who's close to you is acting like she's into it too, but like she pioneered it. And you feel like, do you see me?
You're like, hey, wait a second.
I literally showed you this. What? That's the confusing, like, what's going on? Do you like me and want to be close to me? Or are you trying to
Be novel. Yeah.
What's happening? That is what we say, like the red flag in yourself of, this isn't feeling right.
Oh, I'm so glad you went there. Because it will not only like swirl your judgment, like when you get off center, the reason we call it the wounded paradigm is like it swirls your gut, your like center of discernment, and instinctively, for lots of reasons, I'm not even gonna say whatever reason, lots of reasons, we have been like trained to trust other people when that gets swirled, instead of being like, wait a second, the waters are murky right now, I just need a second to let things still so I can see more clearly and then move forward, because you usually choose the right option when it is all things are settled. But I love that you said that, because there is almost always that experience, and it's sad, and I'm glad we're addressing this, because it is sad, not only in that moment, but also all the moments that you didn't get to name what it was, be validated in it, and then all the ways that you've brought that fear and like protection into otherwise healthy relationships.
Yeah. And it makes you feel guarded with women in the future, because even if you're not consciously naming it, your body knows it. Your body knows that it's possible that this woman could undermine, or I'm just going to say like copy without giving credit. I know there's a better phrase for that, but that is what it feels like. Or is going to be in competition with me. And that can make it really unsafe. It can feel really like, it's too much risk for what it's worth. And then if you couple that you haven't had any experiences with women that are positive, what's the draw? You would just say, let me just hang out with guys. They're easier. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is, we'll do a whole episode on the brother version of this. Actually, we've got some surprising stuff coming up. You will want to hear about more of the brother wound situation. But I always find it to be a little bit of a pause point of, if the opposite sex is the easiest for you to connect with, is there part of you that is outsourcing this other half within you that you get to now step into and really embody and integrate? It's always a mirror of where we get to integrate more of ourselves so we can come to the table as a whole version of us. And a lot of times it can be really confronting, which is why you probably are thinking men are easier to deal with because they're clear or direct or no drama or easy. Yeah, because it's not challenging anything for you. It's not confronting. You're not letting it confront and really like burn away these wounds that are actually holding you back from a healthy relationship with men at large. Because another way I see this play out too is that for my clients, at least when I was working mostly with women, is that when the sister wound was getting activated and they would choose male friendships, they actually weren't available emotionally for a romantic relationship. Not only were they like surrounding themselves with male friends, which is fine, that's not even the issue. The issue is they weren't allowing themselves to be emotionally available for what they were saying that they wanted.
Yep.
Because they don't trust this part of themselves to be in that close of a connection with a man either. Because if you're wanting to create polarity, you are going to be needing to animate the feminine energy. And if you don't instinctively trust feminine energy, you're going to be the bro with all the guys. And if that's fine with you, that's great. But at some point, most of my clients were like, I'm tired of being the guy's girl. Like, I want to be seen as this like woman, this queen, this radiant goddess energy that men are just drawn to and magnetic around, and not in a sister, like girl next door, punch you on the shoulder kind of way.
I can imagine. I'm so happy you said that. My brain was like, yes, all that. I can imagine too, it creates a loneliness internally because you're disconnecting from your own emotions, color, play, fluidity, ability to just like feel and be in your body and be sensual. It's like a rejection of feminine energy as a whole. And if I was not connected to my feminine energy, I've been there.
Yeah.
And I hated it.
Would not recommend.
So burnt out and just like resentful and felt less. It's hard to describe, like colorless a little bit, you know? But being in wounded feminine energy felt chaotic. So I can imagine if you are not in touch with your feminine energy, is probably because you are interpreting it as the wounded feminine version, which is overwhelming. It's overwhelming for me. It's overwhelming for you, for everybody. Wounded feminine, if you don't know, go back and listen to, God, what episode?
Episode 4 or 5.
4 or 5, something like that would describe it. Wounded feminine is chaotic, emotional, struggles to ground herself, gets lost in it. And I've been that girl, and it's really, really hard to experience that in your body. It's deeply uncomfortable. But you can learn to be with your feminine energy and ground it, and then it is ecstasy.
So well said.
Then you are radiant. You're like blossoming in front of people, playful, spreading sparkle everywhere, you know? That's when I see a feminine woman, it feels like sparkles on the move.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yes. It just feels like warmth. It's like, oh, I just want to be near her. Everyone just wants to be near her because it feels so good to be in her presence.
It's like you're standing in the sun.
Yes. There's nothing that's required of me. I just get to like bask in this warmth and radiance, and it feels deeply safe and not unpowerful. Like the sun can burn you. That is the reality. Like deeply powerful and overall just warm and safe. What was coming to me when you were saying that is I also think that for the women who are mostly friends with guys, there is a little bit of a fear of competition factor, that if you are connected to a version of your feminine energy, if he's mostly in his masculine energy, you're going to naturally be feeling like you're in your feminine. So it's going to kind of like hide the discrepancy of where you're actually at on this spectrum. You're going to have a harder time finding what feminine energy truly feels like. Or you're going to be more of the like masculine energy that will attract more men in their feminine energy, or who aren't necessarily stepping into and embodying that masculine energy that you're looking for. Go there.
Okay.
Go
I was just going to say, you are probably on some level craving a man that is more sturdy in his masculine so that you can melt. And that's the issue, is you're attracting a lot of these men who are more in their feminine, thinking, I need a guy who's more sturdy and stable so I can open, so I can explore this, so it will be brought out of me. That happens for some women. It does. And that's how they get in touch with their feminine. But I think it's a less... it gives you less agency when what you could do is say, I need to embrace my feminine on my own for me as a woman in whatever way that feels authentic to me, your flavor of expression, and that will shift who you attract and allow in. I don't love the thought process of like, I need a masculine man and then I can be feminine, because it still feels like outsourcing power to me. It doesn't feel empowered. I feel like I'm waiting on a man to allow me to be in that space. And I don't like that. I want to know that I can be in my feminine on my own. And then with an empowered masculine man, it amplifies. But I need to know that I have that gear on my own. And that's required for a lot of my clients, especially because a lot of them are feminist and high achieving and really driven. They want to know that, hey, this is mine within me first. This energy is mine. And then being around a healthy man will amplify it, but I don't need to depend on that to access it, which gives you more power to express. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I feel like we kind of have to go into a little bit of the like history of this too.
Oh, it's time.
It's time.
Let them have it.
Because the way that I see this, I do a lot of like generational work. I think you do too. But the way that I see this playing out is there is usually a wound. Either sometimes it can be just the mother wound of like you and your mom had an unsafe relationship. You didn't get the blueprint, the imprint in your nervous system of what it feels like to be safe around another woman, which is deeply painful and something that will keep you kind of like trying to figure that feeling out for a long time. Or I think too, it's this like grounded masculine energy that wasn't present. This is kind of how it shows up in my clients. Like when the masculine isn't creating that safety, it's hard for you to express in your feminine energy. And it does create this competition where you feel like you have to be the best, the most, we joke about the best and most like that is something that I think is just kind of like factory setting that women are aware of. Like, I want my man to think I am the best. I want him to think I am the most. That's different. This is like, I am going to, at all cost, like survival level energy, I have to be chosen or I am deeply unsafe and will be evicted from the tribe. Yeah, go for it.
No, I was going to say, can we like expand that a little? Because I feel like it's a huge point.
Yeah.
The survival energy that a woman ends up operating from when she feels in competition.
Yeah.
Say more about that if there is more.
Yeah. Well, we were talking earlier when we were kind of like mapping this out of we have this desire to have a feeling of like being accepted in a community, sort of this like tribe experience of being safe. Everyone is looking out for each other. We are all willing and able to contribute and receive as well. It's kind of a safer experience in that way for the feminine. I think there's some wiring that just feels kind of like natural in that way. And when that gets disrupted, and in our history that was, kind of like moving into more independent states, it is about competing for resources, competing for the highest level of resources, which in this particular wound a lot of times shows up as attention from a man. We will compete with other women. Am I the prettiest? Can I be prettier? Can I be more appealing, attractive, sexy? Can I embody more like sensuality in order to be at the top, to feel like I am being chosen? And the way that we behave, and a lot of women, I think this is where the wound comes from, is a lot of women have been on the receiving end of someone who is operating in that survival energy and kind of like stepping on people to get to the top. And you lose not only respect and safety around that type of woman, but you also start to judge the parts of yourself that have like a pure, like, I want to be chosen. I want for my healthy masculine partner to see me as the bestest and the most. It's like a very innocent, pure thing. Also kind of gets tainted a little bit, I think. What do you have to add to that?
I mean, it's like we always say there's a healthy and a wounded way to do anything, you know? So like you're saying, there's a very real wiring within women, and you can play with that in your relationship in a way that's really empowering and supportive and feels fruitful, you know? To have your man be like, there's no one that compares to you for me, right? You're the best fit for me. That's very different than I need to be the best woman, period, ever to exist. That's going to feel like you are going to get that woman who's your friend who wants to be like you but secretly hates you because she's threatened by you because she feels like she has to be the best woman ever, period. So when I think about the ancestral root to this, to me it always goes back to even recent history of women. When Courtney's saying like biological kind of caveman day sort of wiring, I'm talking more about in the beginnings where for a woman to have a safe and comfortable life, it meant that she had to get married, to be protected, to open a credit card, to get birth control, to buy a home, to vote. These are all privileges, should just be basic rights, but privileges that women, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying it's privilege. It should be a basic right, but there are things that women had to fight for. And sometimes that can manifest as survival energy of, I need to be chosen by a man because my survival depends on it. So then you end up with this culture of pick me energy that's kind of baked into women to try to appeal to the masculine so that they can secure their safety moving forward. And I really believe that wound is driving a lot of choices that women are making even now with the rights they do have, because it is ancestral in your DNA. So when you feel this impulse of like, I need him to want me, choose me, like me, claim me, whatever it is, that is always an invitation to pause and look at, is this from my familial system? And there's lots of roots to it, but also we have to acknowledge it is in your DNA. And there's just this pull, not to judge yourself, but to give yourself grace, right? This is new, that women have so much freedom and options and can be selective, because it was very real survival to be chosen, to be married, to survive, to live a good life, a decent life, or you know what I mean? Any sort of making it.
Yeah. Which takes you out of partnership, the partnership paradigm, that kind of empowered paradigm that we always talk about, of you are amplifying his peace and joy and happiness, and he is contributing and amplifying your safety and depth and provision and abundance. You guys are working together in that, where it is you give me more, I give you more, and I have more to give because you're giving me more, and it's this constant upward spiral.
Feels like that.
That comes. Bravo!
Thank you. Practicing.
It does feel that way, and when you step into the empowered feminine friendship paradigm, that is what it feels like. The more I give to you, the more you give back. The more I give to you, the more it's like this safe reciprocity that's it's never ending. It's like always refilling, and also can be deeply healing, because it is moving you out of survival energy and into a more integrating level where you're like, how much bigger can you get? Like, how much more can you expand? I have no idea. I've never been there before, but thanks for cheering me on. Like, so you can brave the wilderness together in that way.
Totally. I think for me that shifted, because we all have, I would think, a little bit of this sister wound, and it took me a while to work it out, probably until my now late 20s, right, to really have these solid friendships where they're just rich and there's no competition. And I noticed it mostly when Courtney and I and a couple of my other friends went to Atlanta for my birthday to celebrate, and I had all my close girlfriends there. And I thought, there's not one woman in this room that I feel in competition with. I would do anything to amplify your life experience. Any of you. Like, what do you need? Because I just want to see you be the best version of yourself. And it's hard to get there until you do your work as a woman to feel really good about who you are. I'm not saying this as a way of like, well, I've done my work, I'm perfect. I hope it's not coming off that way. But I mean, it took me falling in love with me to not be threatened by other women. When I wasn't in love with me and I was insecure, I was idolizing other women. And then I did feel like, if them succeeding, is that a threat to me?
Less worthy.
Yes, but when I felt like I love who I am, I love my unique style, my unique hair, my unique expression and art and career, it was no longer a threat to me. I'm just making this up. If Courtney succeeded in her career, because why? We're just going to walk parallel lives and like bolster each other and support each other. It's leaving the competition paradigm. I think it requires you to fall in love with yourself and see your own worth. And then it's very easy to leave the competition paradigm.
And the ask for that, I think why people don't, is because it is a hard look in the mirror. It will require you to let go of some stories and activate parts of you that you have been safe hiding. And it feels scary and vulnerable. And that is, I think, the beauty of having female friendships, is because when you're revealing something that feels vulnerable, like I love that you use that trip example, because even being in that room, there was no one that I felt, there was like no level of like social anxiety or anticipation of like, oh, this is going to be awkward. I was like, you're friends with her? I bet I'll be friends with her too. Cause like,
you've been vetted.
Yeah. Like, this is the best circle ever. And I'd probably be friends with your friends too, cause I'm really vibing with you. But it is, to step out in that way and put yourself in a more vulnerable situation, and even to like rely on or to be vulnerable with, even like real needs of like, I just this morning, I was like, I actually just need a hug. Like, I'm stuck in this swirl of emotions and it feels vulnerable for me to reach out and say like, hey, I need some help grounding. This is above what I've been trying, and I'm needing some extra resource. Can you contribute? And to be able to have that held with such care and safety and dignity is so healing in and of itself, which allows me to rise and expand. But also the practice of reaching out to your sisters is tapping into the field of the most abundant resources you can imagine. We always talk about the feminine is the amplifier. Like if you surround yourself with empowered female friends, you reach out to this like network of I've got you, and she's got you, and she's got you, and she's got you. And it suddenly feels in the same way that when you shift out of hating men or seeing men as all perpetrators, you start seeing all the protectors that are around.
Wow.
And your eyes, like your perspective just shifts. You start seeing things in a totally different way, and that alone can be healing. I'm going to get us off track if I keep going, but
It's our show.
it is our show. You're right.
What track? We made it. We wrote the track.
And these are mostly
The track
women
can
listening.
move. I know women will love the fluidity.
I know.
I wanted to add to what you said maybe just a moment ago when we were talking about competition.
Ooh, yeah.
I was thinking of all the things that you're better at than I am.
Oh.
And it never threatens me because I learn from you. And because you never withhold it. It's more like, this is a funny example. My sink got stuck upstairs. I own my home. It's on me. And Courtney said, oh, that I fixed mine last week or whenever. I said, what do you mean? She said, yeah, you just get under there, unhook the thing, put behind me. It's fine. Do you want help? I'll help you with it. What? Courtney has skill sets in places I don't like. She's also much more grounded than I am. I can be a little more emotional, especially around social issues. Whew. I feel a lot of things. Courtney's very grounding and very grounding for me. And I have learned how to be more moderating and not let my emotions take over in situations where I feel very passionately because she models it to me in our friendship. It gives me goosebumps, but it's so true. It's true. It's like I learn from, it's a quality that I'm aware you're better at than I am, but it doesn't threaten me because you help me and being around you pulls me into it. So like, why wouldn't I want to be around you and calibrate with you? You know?
That's it.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier when we were having breakfast this morning of like can we move into the gifts of...
Yeah. Oh, but we have one more.
Oh.
Like we can go into... You decide. Too many good things to share.
Okay, no, I'm going to say this real quick and then we'll go back to that. But that is one of the gifts is that you are... Heck, now it's leaving my brain.
The gifts of the feminine.
We were talking...
Recalibrating.
You only know what you have experienced thus far. If you want to grow either in personal development, expand yourself, expand into new skill sets, there is a humility required where you have to say, you're already doing this. I want to not only learn from you, which means that I can accept that I don't have it all figured out. There's like instinctive humility in that. And also to calibrate to someone else that this is your norm. You've been walking this walk for a while and this is just normal for you. It is so expansive and healing to partner up with people who are already doing the thing. It's normal for them, and you get to borrow either the nervous system capacity that they've already experienced and built, or the like way of seeing it and the perspective. There's so many times where you're like, what if we looked at it this way? And I'm like, you know what, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I could judge myself a little less in that way. Thank you for that being your reality. I'm just going to tap into that right now because I need that. In the same way that I'll help you with your sink. Like it's...
There's such a silly example. Yeah. But what I meant by that was you're willing to teach me the skill. Same. That was the point of like, she's not like, I did that last week. She's like, oh, I'll help you. You know?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. When you can tap into other people's resources, partnership, I love, Alison Armstrong always says, like, partnership is really only required if you have a vision beyond what you can create on your own. When it is bigger than you need more than just you. Yeah. You're going to require people who can link arms with you and hold this thing that is bigger than you. And that requires admitting where you have limitations, where you need some extra support, and looking for people who will be the best teammates in that.
And it feels so fun to see those people you love grow in that way, and you're a part of it. Like, it
So
makes you feel
fulfilling.
valued. Yeah. Your presence had an impact on them and vice versa.
I love that, which is perfect for this, because when you're not in that space, you will keep circulating terrible advice. I hate to go right for the jugular there, but when you don't have healthy, integrated female friendships in your inner circle, I call it my cabinet, you call it your cabinet too, I think.
Usually say my closest friends.
Oh, I do say my cabinet. I've got a cabinet of women who I check like major decisions with these women. They're the ones that I'm going to for like, hey, I need to just talk this out. But when you don't have a close group of women that you're like, I trust you, I would be happy to walk the life that you have built for yourself. Like, we're in this together. You're going to keep bouncing bad information back and forth. This is what's going to keep you going to the men are the worst type of reels and information. It's super validating. It feels really validating. Doesn't necessarily mean it's moving you in a good direction. And you will kind of like just circle the drain in that way.
You will just circulate in that paradigm. That is the issue.
Yeah.
You know, if you're choosing girlfriends that are in that wounded feminine space, beyond just your relationships with men, although, you know, we love to talk about your relationship with men on the show, it'll be everything. If these women are self-defeating or holding a lot of fear and doubt, in protection, embracing all the time, when you say, I want to apply for the promotion, well, do you want to put your current position at risk? What if you don't get it? What if they then see you as less valuable? It's going to start inputting all this. You have to understand, like, the people that you allow to be close to you, those become your inner voices. That's how you speak to yourself. That's how you learn to think. So you want people who are going to fan your flame and be like, oh my God, they would be so lucky to have you. What do you need help with? Matter of fact, my dad's wicked good at resumes. Super. Can I offer? And then you know what I mean? People who are going to bolster you to go after what you want, but especially in the dating paradigm, because we center a lot of the show around masculine, feminine relationships, nurturing relationships with women who have a lot of resentment towards men, it's going to make it very difficult for you to tune that out and still believe in the goodness of men and attract and allow it. In fact, when you have those women there and you do have a good man, those women are going to come forward with, well, just be careful because they all turn on you. All men are the same. They all end up cheating anyway. You have a good thing and you could squander it because you're letting this advice penetrate this wounded paradigm that is very true for that woman. I believe that that's been her experience. We're not denying that, but it's her experience because she continues to perpetuate that belief system, that energy that's attracting it and allowing it. She's allowing it. She's choosing it. Sorry, not to be harsh, but there is a choice involved, the thought patterns that we nurture and the relationships we choose to have. So, and not working through that resentment creates that guarding around her heart. And then if she has any unhealedness with women, it's going to be hard for her to see you be happy, and she's going to want to pull you back into the wounded paradigm. You have to decide, who am I going to share these things with? And if you have that friend and you can't end the relationship or you don't want to, then protect what you share. Right? Not everybody needs to be your confidant in all these places. You can have friends you go out with. You can have friends you do fitness. You know what I mean? Let people be who they are. But like, these things you want to protect them. This is your mind, your heart, your energy.
Place people accordingly. That's what I always tell my clients. Like, in the concentric circles of getting closer to you, see people for who they are and put them in the layer that they need to be. That keeps you feeling the most aligned and growth oriented, more expanding into you. I love that you went there. Something came to mind, but I was just in awe of your going off, and I was like, yes, do it. Oh, I love that you were saying, because she will be threatened by your happiness, and it will trigger her sister wounds, where if you're happy, I have to be unhappy. This like, one up, one down thing. And it will start to sabotage, even just by like imprinting fear in your own experience. You will kind of get swirled in your gut again and not feel like you can trust that this thing is positive and going to continue to be positive. Yeah. This is where if you are moving, we've talked about this before, if you're moving into the dating space and you don't have a cabinet or a close group of sisters that you literally like have vetted and want their feedback, you have to have a mentor. You won't know what's outside of what you already have experienced or what they've already contributed. And if you're wanting to move into a more empowering dating paradigm, you will have to have someone that has been there and can calibrate with you and pull you into it. Otherwise, and it doesn't mean you have to let go of these friends. Like you said, you just kind of like...
boundaries.
Yeah, put them where they need to go and tell them what feels aligned. But yeah, I can't imagine moving into the empowered paradigm without having had mentors in that moment, because I didn't have the awareness. My identity wasn't in that paradigm. And having borrowed, we always talk about Leah Lake, one of our teachers, initially, like working with her and like borrowing her nervous system, her perspective, her like going to her and just saying like, how would you handle this? How would you see this? What am I missing? What am I like filtering through my own fears and history and family patterns and previous experiences, like my own wounding? What am I not seeing? And she can just see it from up here and be like, oh, right there.
She won't get in the drama with you.
Yeah. Let's look right here. And then it's like, pew, let's go.
I love that you brought that up, because I think people forget you can hire a mentor. If you feel like you're not attracting and allowing in those people who are in that more empowered space, that is the time to seek out a mentor. That is the time to recalibrate with somebody who's trained in helping you calibrate there. And then when you shift enough with them, you actually do start attracting more empowered people. And that's when I would anticipate that's when you're going to start really getting that cabinet of women who are on that level with you. I think we should talk about our two friends that we want to give examples.
Yeah. I was going to say that was definitely my like story. We met after a class where it was very healing and recalibrating. Like, and we were like, oh, hey, let's be friends. Of course we're going to be friends.
Yeah. I mean, we were learning the same work.
It makes sense. Yeah.
And a lot of girls in I do soft and secure feminine energy healing and embodiment program. And it's social because we meet every week on Tuesdays. They created their own group chat from the program, and they still keep in touch. They've flown out to see each other in past rounds. Like, that's the sisterhood of, hey, we're both doing this work. Can you put yourself in communities like that? It doesn't have to be soft and secure, although I would love to have you. It's so fun. But communities like that where women are doing the work to be healthier people, those relationships are ripe, because those women are going to hold you accountable. You are going to integrate the new information and the healing practices together. And then maybe it'll be the same as me and Courtney, where we were like, what are you finding? Oh, what are you finding? Oh, that's interesting. Courtney's brain and I's are like the same principles, but we see the world different. It's so expansive and harmonious at the same time.
Yeah. Like,
we say the same thing with different words. And so when Courtney says it, I'm like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You were going to share about your friend, what makes her so safe for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love that you're saying that, because the people that I've met online, Bree being one of them, have been some of my deepest, safest female friendships. And it has nothing to do with length of time. Honestly, it's usually that like shared language and shared principles, because these women will hold me accountable. It's not like they're going to be like, yeah, whatever you want to do, go ahead. They're like, hey, have you thought about it this way? I'm really seeing this show up for you. And because I love you, I'm going to confront this and let you, rise or do with it what you need to. But I would say that's how it plays out with one of my dear friends. And I want to share this because I think it would be it's just permission. Try this on for size with your female friends, because a lot of times the reason we don't bring, especially like relationship level information to our friends who we do think are like solid, healthy, capable of having these level of conversations type of friends, is because we don't want to make our partner look bad. There's a loyalty in the partnership, which is, of course, you need to have some opacity around issues. If they're saying like, please don't tell anyone this, like, use your discretion. Yeah. That is across the board. But what has made one of my other besties so safe is we have this deal where if you need to talk about something that's happening in your relationship, I promise we will go into it. I'll sit with you in it. And at the end, I am not going to see him as less. I'm not going to see you as less or different. I'm going to be able to hear what you're saying, offer some reflection, hold some space if there's some emotions that need to be discussed or processed. And then we're going to come out of this together, and I'm going to see him next time at the function or the barbecue and think he's the best and still be excited for your partnership together. Because the reality is there are going to be challenges that come up. It's not like you have to eject out of the relationship, but this has been the like most grounding and maturing thing for my own feminine energy, is when women are able to hold the space without the judgment and without the post judgment of how I'm handling it after that. Like you always say, you can change your mind. You can just like share.
Just tell me.
You can just share, and I'm not going to hold you to whatever's, coming through right now. Whatever decision you think you need to make, if you change your mind, is okay. And that can be so healing, because there's a lot of judgment of how we are showing up and being vulnerable, and however you need to create some deals or some actual discussions around what you need for that conversation to feel safer. My encouragement would be to do it. Have the conversation about what you actually would like to experience.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that of like, hey, I won't hold you to it, for me came from feeling like when I would share things before I really shifted with the people I was around, when I would share things about whatever I was currently figuring out in dating and relationships and unclear about, it felt like people were scorekeeping and like holding on to it. And I was always aware that if I'm going to be honest about my experience, that I'm just looking for support for me to learn how to be in whatever season I'm in. I was always aware that they would have judgments and be tracking it. And at some point we're going to go, hey, you should leave. You should break up with this person. You should do this, before I felt ready. And then I was going to feel this social pressure and judgment. And it made me change to start saying things, and my friends would be like, I could tell they just needed to vent. Like they weren't going to mean what they said next week. Probably in luteal, freaking out, And I thought what I would want is a space to just say whatever's on my mind and then not mean it in 10 minutes and be able to say, by the way, I didn't mean any of that. And them to be like, obviously. I know you didn't. You're just getting it out. Yeah. That type of like permission to not be perfect was really healing for me. So I started doing it with my friends, and then thankfully they started doing it back, which was great. But we forget like the point of that friendship is to support the person, not to judge their choices. The point is to be there and let them open their heart and hold it with them, and then trust them to go forward and make whatever decision's right for them, not to cast judgment and say, you should be doing this, right? Call them forward, but you can do it in a way that still believes in their ability to make the right choice without holding judgment. So you can be that for your friends right now and see if it starts to recalibrate them too. Just try that. Like, hey, I know you need to vent. I want you to know you can say some ugly things, and I'm not going to judge you. I will forget. Who is she? We don't know her. I didn't.
Who is she? I didn't think about him that way.
No, just processing. It's just human. Yeah. I was going to share one more thing about my friend. Is it? Yeah? Okay. I wasn't sure if you had something you wanted to say. I have a good friend who really helped me recalibrate. She's just the greatest person, just like an angel in a human body. And our friendship recalibrated me romantically to my relationship with men for a lot of reasons. Number one, she's a very secure person. Just securely attached. And if you listen to the show, I was an anxious girly. So it was stressful. And being her friend, everything is very grounded. Everything is very okay. Everything's very figure outable. So when I was going through a breakup, and she would truly call me every day. Her and her partner would send me groceries and DoorDash when I couldn't get out of bed. And that type of like nurturing and love, I know I'll never be able to repay. It was just so much love. It wasn't like a monetary thing. It was like the amount of care and intention and love that I felt, how seen it made me feel, how it made me feel like there was so much space for my experience with her. And I could be honest with her and tell her, I feel like I'm talking a lot, or I feel like I'm dominating the conversation. And she would say back to me, I asked you and I want to know how you're doing, and you're never a burden to me. And when you feel like you are, tell me, because I will tell you that you're not. That didn't happen in a romantic relationship, but it has recalibrated me in my romantic experience to not feel like a burden. But that came from sisterhood. And I just think we glorify, as women, we're raised to glorify our relationships with men, right? Be pleasing, be chosen, be beautiful, be sexy. But there's healing in your female friendships that can recalibrate you in your dating and relationship experience with men, because they are healing. I mean, she truly healed my heart. I healed my heart and she healed my heart. It was like, I could go on and on about this girl. She held it with me every step of the way. It was our problem. It was our healing. It was our recalibration. So when things get squirrely and chaotic, we were on the phone this morning. Courtney was there. We were on speakerphone. And she's like, what's going on? And I was telling her something I'd been wrestling with for hours. Hours, mentally. And she was like, well, what do you mean? If that happened, then you do this. It'll be fine. I said, yeah, but what if this happened? She said, well, then you would do this. And I don't think that's going to happen anyway. And I was like, oh, you're right. Hours of chaos.
Grounded.
2 minutes.
Oh.
In that moment, being able to confide in her, could I have created drama in a romantic connection if I hadn't confided in my cabinet?
Ooh.
And it just put me right back on path. And then I talked to Courtney about something, and she encouraged me to be vulnerable and brave when I was going to conceal and hold back. And it put me right back on path. You just can't undervalue what it's like to have empowered, secure women around you to scaffold you into the next level of empowerment. It is such a gift.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, having not had connections like this and now experiencing them, I'm like, this is
Heaven on earth.
so amazing.
You're never alone.
Because I think a lot of times too, and I remember when I was in training, we were talking about how if he's in his masculine energy and is coming with this problem-solving brain, there are a lot of ways to get more emotional connection. A lot of times we're actually craving the ability to just have an emotional connection with another human, and we're putting it on our partner. And usually it's in a way that I would go to a girlfriend. I'm now bringing that type of problem energy to my partner. No wonder he's wanting to solve it. He doesn't have the understanding of what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And if I say, I just need you to listen and hold space for me, he's probably going to do a great job at it, but is going to have a limited capacity because...
What's the point?
Because that's not his core energy. It's going to be really like stretching. Not that men are not growing in that direction, but like we have this untapped resource that we can also really get a significant amount of emotional energy and emotional needs met from, and bring that energy to our partnership. I talked on a previous episode of the same friend where when she comes home after we have had girl time, her partner is like, just like blown away by the amount of feminine energy and radiance. And she's like, just like, everything's possible. Oh my gosh. And he is in love with this version of her because she comes home so expansive and so like radiant and exactly what he is craving, this version of her, because her needs are all met. And it wasn't because he had to like, come out of his natural core and really like hold the space. Like, we have these resources around us for a reason. We can tap into the community that's around us and really have multiple, I talk about in that interdependent episode, like multiple pourings in of, it doesn't all have to come from one person. And I think if we are putting all of the pressure on one person to be everything, I know Esther Perel talks about this, your one person can't be your lover and therapist and confidant and best friend and adventure buddy and companion. And like we actually have lots of roles that we want to fill, and our sisters are incredible at that because they all have unique ways of filling those things in ways that we probably didn't even know we wanted or needed.
It's like a spot in your heart that gets filled,
Yeah, that my man will never
It's not the same.
And
it's
not
just not
because
the same.
he isn't incredible, but like he will never come close to this fulfillment that comes from female friendships.
The way she feels when she's with me.
What movie is that from? I don't know. Okay, I'll think about it later. And I think that was something that was, I'm sharing that because that was something that was really insightful for me, because I had this belief that like I need to be bringing emotional intimacy to my partnership. Yes, and I find, especially working with men now, that the more that you can come with a full tank and coming from this empowered space, the more productive the emotional intimacy and more fulfilling it actually is, because you're meeting kind of like in this higher level, instead of like sorting through the weeds all the time.
Yes.
But also the men rise. They do. They know what to do with this level of energy. They're like, I'm here, babe. I got you.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go up even higher. And you wouldn't get there without this like supportive uplifting from your sisters.
I couldn't agree more, obviously. I think I totally agree with you, and I feel like women and female friendship, that can be your space to start dispelling and sorting through the chaos with someone who gets it and doesn't interpret it as chaos. You know, when you tell me your emotions, I want every corner. I know there's nuance. I know there's this and then this, but then this is conflicting in that. To be in that with you feels connective. That is friendship, sisterhood. I'm like, she's letting me in. Am I the most special person in the world? You know, it gives you that connection point, and just on a very human experience level. So when things feel really big in your partnership, I can think of nothing better than to confide in your girlfriends who you know are secure and healthy and modeling healthy relationships. They can distill it with you. And then you can get rid of any of the stuff that you really don't mean. It's just active in you at the minute. You'll get more clarity on what is mine that has nothing to do with my partner based on my trauma and what I've been through. And then what parts do I want to name with my partner? And it will save you drama and chaos in the relationship by distilling it with girlfriends, and you feel connection with the girlfriends in the process. Like there's just no bad outcome there.
Yeah.
It's just a rich experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your nervous system gets regulated. You come with this full energy and calm nervous system. And men, like I said, they know what to do with that. And they're like, got it. Locked in. You want to see his EM energy come online?
Right. When you bring that clarity, it's so much faster.
Yep.
Not that you can't. And there's so much value in confiding in your partner. But we're saying is you don't have to do that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it might be better to not do it all the time. In my experience, the relationships that I brought a lot to process with and wanted him to like really like be in it with me, it was never like a meeting of people and minds and hearts. It was always like this constant swirl, because we couldn't ground it, because I needed to distill some things for myself first. When I bring that like clean, here's the actual problem, this is what I'm needing, I'm already full, so I'm not like coming completely empty and needing you to give me everything. We can come together very quickly, get to the bottom of it, and move forward. And it is like new corrective experience comes online.
Yeah, you could really get to the root of it and be clear on what you need from your partner to heal. So like the chaos is happening, you realize there's a wound or a need, and then you go, I need to talk to this about my partner. And instead of coming with the chaos and the activation and the projection, you come with so this was my experience. I want you to know, because I want to know you and I want you to know me. I want to connect. I want you to see me for what's really going on. This is the need that I have. What do you think? Is this possible? Could you meet me in this way? Could you provide this? That's going to be a lot more harmonious than bringing in all the drama and activation and projections and asking him to be responsible for unpacking that and figuring out what's the projection, what's the need, right? Not that you can't. You can, but use your cabinet. It gets simpler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We weren't expecting to go there, but I'm glad we did.
Oh, I knew it was going to happen, because female friendship is just the best.
It really is. It truly is one of the most expansive things that I've let myself experience.
Yeah.
Like new layers of love.
And then when you deepen your capacity for love, you also bring that into your romantic relationship. If something is particularly vulnerable to me, I'm probably going to try it with my closest best friend and unpack it. And then it feels less vulnerable because you get a corrective experience from her when she goes, you're not a burden, you're not taking up space. Those inner parts, okay, I'm going to get into coaching energy, but I'm trying not to. Those wounded parts are starting to heal, and you might have a little more stability then to bring it to your partner and share what 10 minutes ago you thought you couldn't. But because she didn't judge you and she loved you and she gave you a little healing with that inner child part, now you're sturdy enough to open up to deeper intimacy with the man in your life or whoever's in your life that you want to share it with. Your mom, your dad, whatever the wound is. It's just such a gift. We need each other.
Yeah. I love that.
Okay. We're way over time.
Yeah. Because we love it.
Up.
All right. Go ahead.
If you want more from the show, we're on TikTok. As you know, we are on YouTube. You're probably watching us right now. Make sure that you subscribe. We have, can I say the thing?
Yeah.
We should have said it in the beginning. Yes. The thing that we just put out a few days ago.
Obvi.
We've got some apparel launched for you guys. Yeah. 2 really cool sweatshirt and t-shirt designs we're excited about.
You guys have seen our sweatshirts. That one's not new. We have different colors for you and t-shirt versions of that. But the other one is really cute.
There are 2 designs. Can we?
Yep.
Okay.
I feel like we're teasing them too much. We have to tell them.
So one of them says, we celebrate emotionally intelligent men. And the other is a little sweatshirt and it says, going to therapy makes you hotter. So if you want to get your hands on them, obviously the links are always going to be in the show notes. And it really, we're proud of it. I think if you can be a corrective experience for a man who sees your shirt and goes, oh, that woman is celebrating emotionally intelligent men and feels more comfortable embracing his emotions or going to therapy or opening his heart, like all those things, it matters. So we hope it's a little impact point for people. And if you want to be an impact point, get your hands on a sweatshirt.
Not only that, but they're cute.
They're wicked cute.
I mean, they're adorable.
I'm going to wear mine all the time.
All the time. Yep. So many colors, so many things to choose from. So we'll put the link in the show notes.
Yes. If you want more from Courtney, Courtney_Shand. She's working with male clients at the minute. If you want more from me, Building Bree Coaching. That's it. See you in the next episode.
Bye.